By day 15, I was well past the part of this trip where I'd planned the route out in detail, and in fact I was taken by surprise by the Quiraing, which is quite a climb, as you're about to see. I got suspicious though as I was on this bit of the road, and I was going, where exactly is the road crossing those mountains ahead? And then of course realising that, well, it was crossing them where I cycled across them, at the pass. It's always at the pass, isn't it? One of the advantages of single track roads though is that allowing other vehicles to pass, both coming at you and coming behind you, gives you a perfect excuse to actually take a brief break and regain your breath. So in fact I did it in 3 hops. Well worth doing. Traffic was actually fine. I was doing it early enough in the morning. It might be worse later in the day, but it was grand. And at the top there's a car park where there are walks out along the top of the Quiraing itself, and of course some more fine views of the road you've just cycled up, so I would thoroughly recommend it if you do find yourself on Skye. It's a struggle up, but it's definitely worth it, and everybody who passes you in a car will look out the window at you like you're just a little bit crazy, and perhaps I am. And as with the footage from yesterday, day 14, I'd actually forgotten just how strong the wind was until I was adding those video segments I shot at the time. And you can hear it blowing hard on the microphone. So you get the painful things, but in fact you don't even remember them. The views really make it worthwhile. Once you're at the top of the Quiraing, there then follows a long flat section across a mountain bog until you descend to the port at Uig. And while yesterday I was unlucky that the rain and low cloud had happened at the scenic part of my trip, today at least it happened afterwards, but I certainly got lashed on as I headed across that bog right until I got up above the port when it cleared again. Then from above the port it's a descent down to the next ferry and on to the Outer Hebrides and North Uist. A brief looking back as we're leaving Uig and heading across to Lochmaddy. I think this is about a 3-hour crossing in all. Yet another Calmac canteen meal. They're not that bad actually. North Uist on arrival, Lochmaddy quite sunny on one side of the boat, low cloud on the other, perhaps giving a clue of what was to come. And I'm heading off from the east coast across to the west coast, and then turning south basically. With a brief stop off at a cairn I spotted on the hillside before getting to that west coast and starting to head south. And I had a plan to stop at a beach as far south as I could go, but then the weather started to shift and my plans had to quite rapidly change. Basically, once I turned south, it became obvious that there was really quite a strong headwind blowing. In fact, even cycling on the flat was a struggle, and it was picking up. So it was time to change plans and find somewhere to stay. So it's morning and it's about 8 hours into this pretty intense storm, maybe 9 hours. I think there's another hour or so to go. I'm very pleased my shock cord repair of the tent has held up, and despite everything I've actually managed to sleep because I have a set of headphones, in-ear headphones that I'm listening to Lord of the Rings on. But every few hours I wake up in alarm and go, oh my god, is the tent going to survive? So the good news is that as I was cycling down the road intending to camp on the beach last night, the wind started getting really intense, and I wisely made the decision that I would instead head for a campsite I could see on Google Maps. And it turned out it's got a really well provisioned bothy, which probably makes sense in terms of Outer Hebrides culture, I'd imagine. It's set up in an old stone building, so I have somewhere to wait out the storm. I think I'll be delaying my cycling until it dies down a bit. I was also, it was actually my battery usage just shot up. It was fascinating once the wind arrived. The other major benefit of the bothy was one of the other people staying on the site arrived back, and he'd been foraging for mussels, cooked him a big pot and gave us all a portion. So my dinner turned out to be a whole lot better than the scanty rations I'd managed to pick up in Lochmaddy.